Have you ever asked yourself why just one sip of coffee in the morning can determine the entire course of your day? It does not only wake you up, it quietly decides whether you will walk with steady steps, carry confident eyes, and have a sharp mind, or whether you will drag your feet, run out of breath, and stumble through your own thoughts. Picture this. It is morning, you are sitting at your familiar table, holding a steaming cup of coffee. The aroma fills the air, the bitterness lingers on the tip of your tongue, and the sweetness rests at the back of your throat. But what you do not know is that in every drop of coffee, your body is standing at a crossroads. One road leads to a brief moment of alertness, followed by a sudden drop into fatigue. The other road, if you know how, can open up a source of lasting vitality, healthy circulation, and the masculine strength you thought had faded away with age. For more than 10 years, I have sat across from thousands of men. They are not strangers, they could be fathers, uncles, or even your close friends. They walk into the clinic with heavy shoulders, eyes filled with worry and embarrassment, and their first words are often eerily similar. "Doctor, my mornings are not what they used to be anymore." And you know what? They are not alone. This is happening everywhere. It comes earlier than most men expect, quietly but persistently. The problem is, this regular coffee only gives you a short wave of energy. Your heart races, your mind feels sharp. But then what? Just moments later, that surge disappears. By mid-morning, you find yourself dragging your head clouded, asking, "Where did that old fire go?" After the age of 50, caffeine by itself is not enough. As testosterone declines, blood vessels lose their flexibility, and your body no longer responds with the strength it once had. A regular cup of coffee becomes nothing more than a thin patch on a leaking pipe, temporary and useless in the long run. But I want you to lean in and really pay attention. Because what I am about to share can transform a simple cup of coffee into a natural remedy. It does not only wake you up, it nourishes your circulation, stabilizes your energy throughout the day, and most importantly, it supports your masculinity in the moments that matter most in life. And the best part is this: the secret is not exotic or expensive. It is not hidden in glossy advertisements. It is right there in your own kitchen. Simple, natural ingredients, but when combined the right way, they can become the foundation for a strong and resilient midlife. So let me ask you again, if your morning coffee could become the key to restoring your vitality, your confidence, and the masculine energy you thought had slipped away, would you be ready to try? Stay with me, because in just a few minutes, I will reveal how to transform your cup of coffee into your own restorative medicine. And I am certain that once you experience it, you will never want to go back to plain coffee again. Let us begin with one familiar spice, but one so powerful that both scientists and everyday people cannot help but be amazed: cinnamon. I am not talking about the cheap jars of powdered cinnamon you see at roadside diners. I mean Ceylon cinnamon, the gold standard of herbs, carefully studied for its effects on blood sugar and circulation. I remember a man in his early 60s sitting in front of me sighing, "Why am I already exhausted at 10 in the morning? Why does my blood pressure creep up year after year?" The answer was a silent enemy: unstable blood sugar. Think of it like this: you pour thick syrup into the water pipes in your home. At first, water still flows, but it is sticky and sluggish. Over time, the syrup clings tighter, scratching and corroding the walls of the pipes. Until one day, the water barely flows at all. That is exactly what happens inside the tiny blood vessels, those lifelines that carry oxygen and nutrients to the very places men need in order to maintain their vitality. And this is not just a metaphor. Science has proven that cinnamon can reduce fasting blood sugar by up to nearly 30%. Think about that number. It is not a small shift. It is a turning point. It is like pressing the reset button for your circulatory system. And when your circulation is strong again, your life force comes back. Cinnamon is not just a spice to make coffee taste better. Inside it lies a powerful compound called cinnamaldehyde. This substance can trigger vasodilation, which means it signals the arteries to relax and expand, allowing blood to flow freely and naturally. In other words, cinnamon taps into the very same biological pathway that famous medications like Viagra target, but it does so in a gentler, more natural and sustainable way. I still vividly remember one of my patients, a 8-year-old construction worker who told me that after lunch, he would always feel sluggish and want to nap. But once he started adding just 1/4 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon into his morning coffee, he could power through the entire day with steady focus and lasting strength. He did not overhaul his entire diet, nor did he invest in expensive and complicated supplements. Just one small change and the results were remarkable. In truth, cinnamon has been used for centuries. In many cultures, from the aromatic cups of coffee in the Middle East to the traditional café de olla of Mexico, cinnamon has never been just about flavor. Ancient people instinctively understood that this spice carried vitality, warmth for the body, and comfort for the spirit. And today, modern science is confirming what tradition has long known. Cinnamon helps stabilize blood sugar, protects blood vessels, and nurtures resilience within the body. For many of my patients, adding cinnamon to coffee is the simplest first step. It tastes pleasant, it is inexpensive, and the results can be felt quickly. But that is only the foundation. Once the foundation is set, we need the next brick to turn a cup of coffee into a medicine for circulation, for mood, and for male hormones. That brick is cocoa. If cinnamon is like a steady hand keeping your blood sugar under control, cocoa is the spark that awakens circulation. And I am not talking about the sweet cocoa packets children stir into hot chocolate. I mean real, raw cocoa so dark it almost looks like coal. The first time I suggested it, many of my patients laughed. "Doctor, you want me to put chocolate in my coffee?" But after they tried it, the laughter stopped. Because the science is undeniable and the results are hard to ignore. Cocoa is rich in flavonoids, compounds with names that sound like codes from a laboratory, epicatechin and catechin. These are the very molecules that have given dark chocolate its reputation for being heart-healthy. Their mechanism is remarkable. They stimulate the body to produce nitric oxide, a compound that acts as the master key for your blood vessels. Nitric oxide tells your arteries to open up, allowing blood to flow strongly and vibrantly. Without nitric oxide, even a strong heart cannot deliver blood effectively to where it matters most. And here is the difficult truth: after the age of 50, a man's natural production of nitric oxide can decline by nearly half. That explains why things that once felt effortless suddenly become a struggle. But when you add cocoa, it is as if you are sending a new message to your arteries. Open up. One study published in the Journal of Hypertension found that men who consumed cocoa daily improved their flow-mediated dilation, that is how well their arteries expand, by 30%. 30% is not just a number on a chart. It is the kind of change you can truly feel: easier breathing, stronger circulation, and a body that moves with greater ease. The surprising part is that cocoa also influences mood. It contains anandamide, known as the bliss molecule, along with phenylethylamine, a chemical that mimics the feeling of being in love. That is why just 1 teaspoon of raw dark cocoa not only strengthens the heart and blood vessels, it also lights up the spirit, rekindling excitement that may have quietly faded away. Many men who have tried adding cocoa have told me they feel not only physically stronger but also mentally lighter. Some describe becoming more optimistic, more engaged with life, and more emotionally connected with their partners. If you have ever felt a loss of interest, you know that half of the battle is in the mind. Cocoa, in the most natural way, supports both the body and the mind together. And here is another benefit. Cocoa is packed with magnesium, a mineral that most men are deficient in. Magnesium is directly tied to testosterone production and muscle function. With just 1 teaspoon of raw dark cocoa, you are not only upgrading your coffee into a richer drink, you are also giving your body the raw materials it needs to fire on all cylinders, like a finely tuned machine. One of my retired patients, a former teacher, told me with a laugh that his morning cup now feels like a healing mocha. It made him feel 10 years younger, but without the sugar crash of sweet drinks. That is the difference with pure cocoa. It provides strength and vitality while keeping you steady. But the journey does not end here. If cinnamon steadies your body and cocoa opens your circulation and ignites enthusiasm, the next ingredient goes even deeper. It does not only support blood flow, it sends signals directly to the brain and to the endocrine glands, the control center that decides how much energy, how much desire, and how much drive you truly have. And this ancient root has been known for centuries by a very familiar nickname, natural Viagra. That root is Maca. If cocoa unlocks your blood flow, then Maca awakens your body's control panel. I cannot count how many men over 50 have told me, "Doctor, I just do not feel like myself anymore." They were not only talking about intimacy, they meant energy, focus, and even the motivation to get up in the morning. And that is where Maca shows its power. The remarkable thing is that Maca only grows in the Andes Mountains at an altitude of about 13,000 feet, or about 4,000 meters, a place so harsh that almost no other plant can survive. That environment forces Maca to store extraordinary nutrients, 19 amino acids, essential minerals like zinc, magnesium, and iron, plus unique compounds called macamides and macenes that you cannot find in any other plant. Unlike cinnamon or cocoa, Maca does not just treat surface-level symptoms. It goes straight to the root, helping the body recalibrate hormone signals. Scientific research has confirmed this. In 2009, researchers gave a group of men about 2 to 4 grams of Maca each day, which is about 1 small teaspoon for 12 weeks. The results were significant improvements in desire and performance without the need for synthetic hormones. Another study showed that Maca also increased sperm count and motility, which means its effect reaches deep into the core of reproductive health. The key point is this: Maca is an adaptogen. Instead of forcing the body in one direction, it helps you adapt to stress, rebalance hormones, and restore natural rhythms. One of my patients, a 54-year-old high school teacher, described the feeling of using Maca perfectly. "It felt like someone switched the light back on in my brain." He was not jittery or overly stimulated, like when drinking too much coffee. He simply felt clear, sharp, and alive again, something he had not experienced in years. Maca has a slightly nutty flavor with a gentle sweetness similar to butterscotch. Yellow Maca is the mildest and best for beginners. Red Maca is especially supportive for prostate health. Black Maca is considered the secret for stamina and endurance. For most men, I usually recommend starting with yellow Maca, then gradually increasing or combining with the other types. 1 small teaspoon of Maca blended into coffee each morning does not create a miracle overnight. But after 2 to 3 weeks, your body begins to change. Strength is rebuilt gradually and steadily, and that is what makes the results truly sustainable. But I do not want you to stop here, because while cinnamon stabilizes cocoa, opens circulation, and Maca awakens hormones, the next ingredient provides the raw material your body needs to actually build testosterone. Without it, you are like a mechanic trying to repair an engine without oil. And the answer lies in something unexpected: coconut oil. Many men raise their eyebrows when I tell them, "Add oil to your coffee." Some even laugh. But once I explain the science behind it, the laughter disappears, and they want to try it immediately. Because this one small tweak has completely transformed the mornings of many of my patients. Coconut oil is rich in medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs. Why are MCTs so important? Because testosterone, the hormone tied to strength, energy, and male vitality, is synthesized from cholesterol and healthy fats. Yet for decades, men were told to cut fat at all costs. The result: many unknowingly deprived their bodies of the very raw material needed to produce hormones. Coconut oil changes that. About 60% of it is made up of MCTs. And unlike regular fats that take hours to digest, MCTs go almost directly to the liver, where they are quickly converted into clean energy. The result is what many patients of mine describe as rocket fuel, steady alertness and endurance that lasts all day without the need for sugar or a second cup of coffee. Science backs this up. Studies show that men who consumed MCTs had testosterone levels up to 20% higher compared to those consuming other fats. Beyond that, MCTs support thyroid function, steady metabolism, and give noticeable clarity to the mind. These are not placebo effects, these are measurable results. In real life, I have seen men who once slumped at their desks by 10 in the morning, suddenly able to work smoothly until noon, clear-headed, no longer craving sweets and no longer dependent on caffeine. One retired firefighter told me that blending just 1 teaspoon of coconut oil into his coffee gave him the kind of sustained focus he had not felt since his 30s. The key lies in how you prepare it. If you only stir it with a spoon, you will get an unpleasant, oily layer floating on top. But if you take a moment to blend it with a small mixer or even a simple milk frother, the mixture turns into a creamy, latte-like drink that tastes like something from an upscale cafe. Start with just half a teaspoon so your digestion can adjust, then increase to a full teaspoon. Some men prefer refined MCT oil, which is more concentrated and easier on sensitive stomachs. Either way, you are giving your body the premium fuel it has been missing for years. And now with cinnamon keeping you steady, cocoa opening circulation, maca awakening hormones, and coconut oil fueling testosterone, there is still one final piece of the puzzle. It is an ancient spice that has been used for thousands of years, and modern science shows that it can both directly protect testosterone production and supercharge circulation like a spark. That spice is ginger, the final part of this morning formula. Ginger is the fiery kick that turns an ordinary cup of coffee into a turbocharged engine for circulation. I still remember the skeptical look on one patient's face when I suggested grate some ginger into your coffee. But just a few weeks later, he returned with a very different smile. That little trick woke up my whole system. And he was not exaggerating. For more than 5,000 years, ginger has been part of traditional medicine. Now, modern science explains why ginger is rich in bioactive compounds such as gingerols and shogaols, which promote vasodilation, the widening of blood vessels to improve blood flow, reduce inflammation, and protect the Leydig cells, which are the factories that produce testosterone in men. There is something many people overlook. The testicles are constantly under thermal stress, from sitting too long, wearing tight clothing, or exposure to environmental toxins. To function optimally, they need to remain about 2 to 3 degrees Celsius cooler than the body's core temperature, which is roughly 3.5 to 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit cooler. When they become overheated or face oxidative stress, testosterone production plummets. This is where ginger acts like a shield, reducing inflammation, neutralizing oxidative stress, and supporting the hormonal foundation. The numbers are very convincing. A study published in 2012 showed that men increased their testosterone levels by about 17.7% after 3 months of supplementing with ginger. Another study found not only higher sperm counts, but also improved sperm motility. Clear evidence that ginger does not just look good on paper, it delivers real-life results. In my clinic, I have heard countless men report more stable energy, fewer afternoon crashes, and most importantly, noticeable improvements in their performance. Adding ginger to coffee is extremely simple. You only need a thin slice of fresh ginger, about the size of a coin, or about 1/4 of a teaspoon of ginger powder. Fresh ginger brings a warming sensation that spreads quickly and wakes up the body instantly. Powdered ginger provides a steadier, longer-lasting effect and makes it easier to control the dosage. Start small, then increase gradually according to your taste. Ginger is a strong spice, but just a pinch creates a warm, spicy, and aromatic note that pairs beautifully with cinnamon and cocoa. For beginners, one suggested combo for circulation-boosting coffee is hot coffee with Ceylon, cinnamon, pure cocoa, and a small touch of ginger, a blend that is flavorful yet gentle on the stomach. It is important to be clear, ginger is not a magic bullet when used alone. Its true power is unleashed when combined with the other 4 ingredients: cinnamon, which stabilizes blood sugar and supports the blood vessels; cocoa, which increases nitric oxide and elevates mood; maca, the adaptogen that balances the endocrine system; and MCT, or coconut oil, the clean fuel for the brain and body that provides the raw material for hormone synthesis. When they work together, ginger becomes the ignition spark, allowing the entire formula to run smoothly. Circulation flows, testosterone is preserved, and the mind feels bright. And the best part is, you do not need to overhaul your diet, spend a fortune on supplements, or endure awkward doctor visits. Just one upgraded cup of coffee each morning is enough to begin turning decline into renewal. However, knowing the ingredients is only half the journey. The real results depend on how you add them, when you add them, and in what order. That is what determines whether your body runs smoothly or sputters. That is why right after this, I want to guide you through a simple 30-day plan step by step, so your body can adapt naturally while your kitchen does not turn into a laboratory. You already know the 5 ingredients. Now it is time to turn them into a smart habit, quick in the morning but full of benefits for circulation, hormones, and energy throughout the day. That is why I created a 30-day step-by-step plan for my patients, and today I am sharing it directly with you. This is not about dumping everything into your cup on the very first day. The secret lies in layering the ingredients gradually, so your body feels the benefits without overload or digestive discomfort. Week 1, keep it very simple. Just add 1/4 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon to your morning coffee. That is it. Pay attention to your energy, your focus, and even your mood. Many people notice steadier mornings in just a few days. Week 2, keep the cinnamon, and add 1 teaspoon of pure cocoa unsweetened. At this stage, most men report smoother energy, fewer cravings for that second or third cup of coffee, and some even notice early improvements in their performance. Week 3, introduce Maca into your routine 3 times a week, for example, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Maca is not an instant switch. It is a route that helps the body achieve long-term balance. Consistency is the key. Week 4, it is time to add either coconut oil or ginger, whichever feels more appealing to you. Blending coconut oil creates a creamy latte texture and nourishes the body with clean fuel. A thin slice of fresh ginger, on the other hand, delivers a powerful boost to circulation. The important rule: do not overdo it. Do not throw all 5 ingredients in at once. Build step by step so your body has time to adapt, and so you can clearly recognize which ingredient makes the difference for you. Here is a small tip to keep the habit: pre-mix a small jar of cinnamon and cocoa and place it right next to your coffee maker. Each morning, just scoop 1 spoonful. This 5-second routine keeps you consistent without feeling burdensome. If you want to go further, I recommend keeping a simple journal. Each morning after drinking, rate your energy, mood, and morning strength on a scale from 1 to 10. After 1 month, you will see clear patterns on days with Maca. You feel more motivated on days with MCT, you feel sustained alertness on days with ginger, your circulation feels stronger. That feedback will encourage you to maintain the habit for the long term. One important reminder: do not quit too early. Your body has been operating in one way for decades. It takes at least 30 days for deep changes to take root. If you stop after just 1 week, you are robbing yourself of the true results. But if you stay consistent, you will be amazed to see how one small morning habit can shift the way you feel in such a big way. And here is the most exciting part. When men follow this plan, their upgraded coffee becomes more than just a drink. It becomes the spark that gets them back into the gym, back into their hobbies, back into their old confidence. Because when energy and confidence return, every other door begins to open. Before you rush off to try this, remember one final message I always share with my patients: decline is not destiny. Never forget, the small choices you make daily are the seeds of long-term change. You do not need to transform your whole life overnight. You only need to start with one simple step, like upgrading your morning coffee. Save this plan so you can return to it anytime. And if you want to continue receiving the latest medical insights and practical tips for protecting your overall health, make sure to subscribe to this channel right now. You are not powerless against aging. Inside you still lies remarkable strength and resilience waiting to be awakened. With the right knowledge and consistent habits, you can step into the years ahead with energy, with confidence, and with renewed hope.